You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo. Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, the story is Tyrese Halliburton wants to play. We'll see if he is able to play, if he is going to be cleared to play. Kind of interesting, the comments were in discussion. He had mentioned that he trusts the medical staff to make the right choice for him or to protect him from himself. And I understand everybody kind of freaked out about it. And I think that's just where you are right now, and it's unfortunate because my whole belief is you're going to have Gainbridge Fieldhouse tomorrow night stuffed full of OKC fans. And maybe it's just me taking that very delicate gauge of the social media platform and then putting that to your mood right now. Maybe that's completely unfair. But it seems like with this team being down 3-2, that a lot of you have abandoned ship. And I hope I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's just a select few on here. Because I mentioned this a couple of times yesterday. And in a lot of the ones that I have seen, they're the ones that talk about how this team isn't tough and this isn't tough and that's not tough and I'd be tough this and I'd be tough that. And then in this situation being down 3-2, you seem like you're the first ones to quit. So I'm assuming you're tough about nothing. Or at least, maybe you actively act it in real life, but you don't preach the right thing in social media. So my concern is you get that dynamic where you have so many folks that believe this thing is over. And without the Animal House Belushi speech here, you still have to go out and play. And I still have a high level of expectation. I don't give a damn who's out there. I said this yesterday. We'll look back in reflection and embrace the season. And it has been one for the books and one you should remember. Just a nice group of dudes that come together, play well as a team, and give you a product that you had no idea was going to be NBA Finals worthy. Took them about half a season to even think that they could navigate the first round of the postseason, right? And here they are going into game number 6. And I don't want to see two things tomorrow night. I don't want to see a bunch of OKC fans in there ready to celebrate, and I don't want to see them given by their road team an opportunity to celebrate. You imagine at the start of the year if somebody were to say, hey, this Pacer team is going to go all the way. They'll be playing in the 6th game of the NBA Finals. Anybody is going to take it. And listen, I know this. It is a day-to-day thing. And you go back to Friday, that is always going to be the head turner. That is always going to be the one that everybody's going to lean on as the Hank Basket moment, if you will. The reason why the Colts didn't win another Super Bowl, or the Tracy Porter reason, if you will. It's always going to revert back to that Friday night in the fourth quarter. But this team, I think, what has been forgotten a little bit in all of it by the way things went down in game number 5 is this team has been by far the most resilient in the postseason. So why should I believe that they're going to fade away as quickly as a couple of you on social media have faded away? You honestly expect that? When you lose, it's disappointing. There's only going to be one team, as of right now, the favorite OKC, one team that's really, truly able to celebrate it. And we live in a world now to where you, in large part, look over the accomplishments on what has been a great season and just look as an end result and go all Ricky Bobby on us, and if you're not first, you're last. Well, in this case, this has still been a spectacular season. But I do understand it. It is a day-to-day thing. I'm a part of the evaluation. You're a part of the evaluation. And the one thing I do understand and certainly believe, as I talk about all the time, is our evaluation counts more here than any of the outsiders. That's why I always question why you would want to listen to anything else, because this is where you're going to get the truly educated point. None of these clowns are going to give you that on that ESPN pre-in post-game show. Seriously, nobody, not one. I've mentioned a couple of them, just kind of understood who the Pacers were in the past week. But I wouldn't so easily give up on this, certainly. And I think in large part, there is a history of season-damaging, how should I put that, organizational-altering injuries here that play a role with you. It's kind of like thinking about, is it not the Colts quarterback situation? Anything that can be equated to a quarterback injury, you don't think the Colts are telling a shred, an ounce of truth. Nothing. I saw everybody shrug last week about the whole re-aggravation of the AC joint. It's not even so much that with me. It's just, all right, so how is this going to make him more accurate? But I think it's a part of a learned experience where you go down a similar path so much, that's how you react in other aspects, other areas. I mentioned this during the season when we all said, I should say we not, it's just basically me and a couple of others, hey, run this thing back. I think this group is special. You guys wanted to blow it up, much like you wanted to blow it up after Game 5. Everybody's got to blow it up. You got to blow it up. Get rid of Rick Carlisle, get rid of this, and get rid of that. And in large part, that is due because coming off of every Colts season, the first thing you end up saying is how they need to blow it up. You got to blow this up and blow that up. A lot of that has been blown up worthy. Don't get me wrong. This isn't. This is a drastic difference in how you view two organizations right now, at least until further notice how you view two organizations, because one is not even in the stratosphere of the other. You hope at some point the other one does catch up. You don't want the Pacers to fall back, but you want the Colts at some point to catch up. But whenever you heard the term run it back, you immediately put that to, well, that's what the Colts have done, and oh my God, this is going to be an absolute disaster. As it turned out, it's been far from a disaster. It has recently, in Game 5, it has recently at the end of Game 4 been disappointing, but this has been nowhere near a disaster. This has been one hellaciously, awesomely fun season that I don't want to see end. I do not want to see it end. I want to see this go to Game 7, and I want to see this bad boy pushed as far as it can go. This is the true test of this team's postseason resiliency that has been certainly made a lot of. I just mentioned it a moment ago. That has been the talk of this team in the postseason, especially from those in the know, those that are educated on this team. You know, their fight, their desire to never give up, which has won a lot of you over. I'll sit here before you right now, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live or on this microphone, and tell you that's what I fully expect regardless of the available personnel tomorrow. Why shouldn't you expect that? Those players expect it. That coaching staff expects it. Organizationally, they expect it. You should too. It may turn out that OKC's just better. That's too bad. OKC's been just better than basically everybody this season. It's the one thing you do not want to see is see this group go down without a fight. And that is not even anything that I'm thinking about now. You fully expect that. Now, I will also add in the other thing I don't want to see is just another 20 spot of turnovers, for the love of God. Can we not do that? I know OKC's defense is good, but holy hell. It is so good that it completely whacks everything out. Yeah, here's that pad. Even the passes that you make are at the feet, at the shoelaces, over the head. Little execution coming up tomorrow night. And I feel good about the fact that we're doing our part. I know. We did our part last Friday. Look how that turned out. But we are going to do our part. I just don't want to see that place tomorrow night bubbling over with blue and orange. I know it sounds weird even suggesting that. Or any celebrations going on with a road team. Because that video is going to last forever. They're going to show that all the time. Anytime OKC plays in the next whenever, you're going to see that on the podium celebration inside the field house. That should always be reserved for the home team. Always. So hopefully the Pacers find something. Hopefully Tyrese Halliburton. The one question I have is this, and this is not an original thought whatsoever, but the one question I have, let's just say, like I think he's going to play, let's just say he does end up playing. I'm not so much worried about how, oh my goodness, they're going to get Oladipo'd or Paul George's broken leg, something's going to snap or pop or creak. I'm not so much worried about that. What I'm worried about is just a level of not right, not there against this type of team that is both detrimental to this team in the long run and detrimental to Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, hell, you don't want him to look like that. You don't want him to look like he did in game number 5, do you? 4 points, 4 free throws, no made field goals. Now, ESPN clowns doing their celebratory dances about it, enjoying it, soaking it up. They do. They enjoy that. You've noticed that, right? You've noticed their enjoyment. And my only enjoyment in noticing their enjoyment is my enjoyment in understanding that next year there's going to be an entirely new group there. I enjoy that. But they have enjoyment in it. So, 2 things. The effect on the team and just the overall, like, if he is cleared to play, because, again, the Pacers have been through so much, I think they feel confident. I mean, hell, you never know. We could walk down the hall right now and something could happen to us. You just never know. So that's not the portion I'm concerned about. But it is just the impact of the team and how it is to fight against a team that is really good anyway. And the last thing you want to do is to be compromised in any form and fashion versus OKC, because we certainly got an appetizer result of that going back to game number 5. We'll see. I think he will. Game time decision listed as questionable. I know Rick Carlisle was on the morning show talking that up this morning and obviously alluded to a number of things, and I think they all doubled back and alluded to the fact that it is all hands on deck, all options on the table, and that's what happens. See, that is what is incredibly different than my normal must-win in week 1 for the Colts against the Bengals when everybody laughs, even though I'm accurate. But that is the difference. Everything now is at your disposal to try to take advantage of it. Do you have, a shorter clock on guys? Do you ride a little bit longer those that are actually getting it done? I mean, really, all forms of what you do in this situation. And obviously, the whole rotation with Rick Carlisle has been something that has put them in this position. And then that's something you'll have to rethink. And not just one moment, but a number of moments coming up tomorrow night. And how you do that. How do you squeeze the most out of what's going for you? How do you stay hot? A little bit more clock for somebody, a little bit less for others. Yeah, this team has been an egoless joy this season. And that also plays a role in this, because if you're not going right, then you probably should go grab some bench. And you're probably going to go grab some bench. That is what happens in this situation. District Tap coming up tomorrow downtown. I cannot wait to see all of you there with Michelob Ultra. Not just 3 hours, but a very robust 5-hour show for you tomorrow. Hell, I don't care who comes by and joins the show. I just think you should. It is in your best interest to do it. And let me tell you this. It is in the Pacers' best interest to push this to a Game 7 no matter what the hell happens. That is called going down swinging. Some of you may not be doing that right now with, I don't know, him hawing around about what you think about this group. Well, I don't know. I think it's over. But I'm tough. You want to see this push to game number 7. I don't want to see that place with a lot of Oklahoma City flavor in there. Hopefully that's the case. We'll get you fired up, started coming up tomorrow afternoon from 3 until 8. Who is with me on that bad boy? James is over there. I'm John. Loaded show. I'll explain coming up in just a minute. I don't want to see, like, fighting going on. But I cannot sit, like somebody says, well, you're always saying this and you're going to go with whatever side is bad. No, I'm not. This is what I gather out of the Fever and the Sun last night and the dust-ups. I dig a dust-up. I dig it. I don't mind that little extra. Of course, I don't want anybody to get hurt. Of course, you don't want to see things normally escalate in that capacity. But if there is one thing that I do miss out of old school basketball, it is that. I miss the 80s and the 90s of the NBA. I do. I miss the Larry Birds and the Bill Lambiers. I miss the Kevin McHale's and the Kurt Rambuses. I miss all of that crap. All of it. I'm not suggesting that's what it was last night. But as if we needed any more reason to celebrate Sophie Cunningham, I dig it. I like it. Well, you know that Caitlin Clark, that's what you're going to, the debate shows are, well, Caitlin Clark started it all. Okay, whatever. Maybe so. But it escalated. And I like the fact that Sophie Cunningham, the hard foul tactic was, to me, beautiful. I'd do it again. Don't eliminate it. It was beautiful. It wasn't that hard of a foul. It was a little brush by. It was nothing. Actually, it was something, because it's something that we rarely see anymore. It's funny. You think with a bit of the WNBA and the women's game that we see, and one of the legit things that you actually do see is a great deal of ball movement. And that's certainly, I think, in line with what we have celebrated all year long with the Pacers, the ball movement, the selflessness, the team concept. And I think that's what oftentimes, I know sometimes I make fun of notoriously the 15,000 missed layups, and that does suck. But the thing that is really good about it is when the ball is being shared and whipping around, I think that's something that the women's game has taught a little bit more. And I know you're going to say, well, Caitlin Clark does get locked up in isolation, maybe high ball screens with Aaliyah Boston all the time. I mean, it's somewhat similar at times to what you see, certainly, with the Pacers. But for the most part, when you look around, there is a great deal of the sharing of the basketball. And I think that at its grassroots level is one of the reasons why. Just outside, people around here, and people are always looking for that next star. And you're not going to find a bigger star than that of Caitlin Clark. And then last night, I'm sorry, I more enjoyed that whole thing than I thought it was ridiculous and had to be removed. Does that make me a bad person? See, I don't want to be two things. I don't want to be a bad person. But I don't want to turn anything in. Sorry, James here. I don't want to turn anything into like a WWE type of deal either. I'm not suggesting I need that to enjoy basketball. But as a side note, like if you go out, let's say James, for example, is out at the Outback. He's got a nice steak that's probably shriveled up like the sole of a shoe. And he wants a little appetizer going on. You got to get that bloomin' onion, right? Because that's like Australian for Outback bloomin' onion. That's your appetizer there?
Oh, always.
Well, last night was a little bit of an appetizer. In-meal appetizer right there. I didn't mind it. Yes, it's funny. We have gone through such an era of all this kumbaya, love one another, AAU junk, and everybody loves each other because they've always played with one another and always hung around with one another. Yeah, I like it at that particular level, the highest of women's basketball, that you know that folks at that league don't like one another. I dig it. I like it. I don't think it's necessary for me to see all the time, but again, as an appetizer, there's, maybe a little bit of pepper, maybe a little bit of A1 on that steak from Outback that James got right there. All right, then. I'll take it. So I did hear the comments of Debbie Antonelli last night, and while you want the officiating to be better, right? You don't want the officiating to be egregious. I just think it's funny because you're talking about that, and then on the other hand, Rick Carlisle just a couple of days ago went all in on how much he loves Scott Foster, and then immediately the next game got a tech, which is awesome. I love it. It's okay. Officials are not born, and they're not doing this. They do this with the knowledge that you're not going to like them. You know that. Like somewhere Tyler Ford's around here going, oh, hell, I know these guys don't like me at all. Now, when they see you in public, they're going to like bend your ear and say, let's talk some basketball. But when you get into that line of work, that you're not going to be liked. The other aspect about this is there are levels of it, too. I mean, the jackassery that goes on, for example, at the lower levels, whether it's high school or youth basketball, is ridiculous. I mean, you do end up running people off. But I've always enjoyed when you can tell that there was a little disenchantment with one another. And I've always enjoyed occasionally lobbing a barb or two or a criticism at officials. Does that make me bad?
I think that just makes you the average sports fan, right?
Makes me a real man right there. I like it. Like it a lot. All right, quick break. We'll come back. We'll get into that, too. I think Bowen's at the bottom of the hour. They talked to Rick Carlisle this morning. I mentioned the news on Tyrese Halliburton. Game 6 coming up tomorrow night. I've got to have everybody's ass down with me at the District Tap. I mean, everybody with Michelob Ultra. Let's run them out of Michelob Ultra like we did Pivot last week, too. That makes a guy feel really good. So the fact that two teams don't like one another, the fact that we're allowed to be critical of officials without coming across as being an uneducated basketball fan, and running a place out of beer. Three things that I want out of this show today, and then I want to carry over until tomorrow. Bowen, Denari, and Eddie Gill is going to join us a little bit later on, former Pacer guard. Let me take a break. I shall return. You can be there as well. 239-1070 is the number, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Shout out to my pit crew, Samson and the gang. They sent some folks out today. My pit crew pit-crewed me up in my driveway, everybody. Well done. That's just another aspect, another layer of why you need to become a AAA member and do that stat. AAA.com to do it right now. The stream, the app, HD Radio, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Nice work right there. Why all these guys are on Evan Sidery? Have you noticed that right here? Even Boyd's on Evan Sidery.
Yeah,
I
saw
like
some
Evan.
of that.
I don't know. That's just never occurred to me. I think this Aaron guy just sent it, and then Alex Golden. I think we're having some big tickle fight here right now or something. I don't know if I need to get involved in anybody's tickle fight. Listen, I will tell you this, and nobody really cares, but I'll bring it up anyway and hopefully close the door on it. For those that have asked, and there's only been like less than a handful, is Evan Sidery, if you know me, I like people that are nice to me. He's conversational. Doesn't matter. And I think I guess they're having some sort of tickle fight right now on social media with one another. And I don't give a crap about it. And listen, I know if it is your work and you go, oh, wow, it's misrepresented or whatever, then have at it. But don't be dragging my ass into this because I don't want any part of it. All right? And it really kind of pissed me off that I like Alex Golden a great deal, but I don't know why he dragged my ass into it. I don't want to be in it. Now, if you want me in it, then that's going to be a mistake that you get, but you probably don't, so I wouldn't. So if you ask me, the reason why I have him on is because we talk NBA, because he's conversational, and because he's cordial. I don't know what he's doing with your work. Nobody's told me what he's doing with your work. I don't know if he's misrepresenting your work. That is a you and he problem. That is not a me problem. So hopefully you guys understand that. Listen, I on my own get into enough stupid blank. I don't need to get into your stupid blank too. Cool? Cool. Thank you. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline from the morning show. He is Kevin Bowen, riding shotgun with me on this show on this Wednesday afternoon early. Hello, Kev.
Hey, John. How are you?
Great. Trying not to get dragged into stupidity.
I know. As you were kind of going on that, I thought to myself, boy, is John going to drag me into the
Yeah, John's trying to keep me from being dragged into it. I have no idea how I end up in it. So, but yeah, that's not good. That's not fun for people. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. I did enjoy the conversation this morning. Now, you come off of that, and then you come off of what Tyrese Halliburton said earlier today. My thought is there's going to be some playing going on. My question is as to what level, and is it detrimental to the player and to the team in game number 6? I'm not so much worried about the injury situation as much as everybody else is, but those are the two things on the top of my list that I'm most concerned about.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. It's one thing to be compromised or not at whatever 100% in a random Tuesday game against Wizards. It's a different animal, I think, to be compromised against this defense because, frankly, I think I've had questions about Tyrese Halliburton being at his peak level if he's 100% against the Thunder, and obviously that's a huge credit to Oklahoma City's defense and how much they've really limited him based off what we're used to for the most part, even if you go back to the regular season. But, yeah, I mean, my guess is, he gives it a go. What does that look like? How much does Andrew Nembhard handle the ball? He obviously has a ton on his plate with SGA responsibilities. How much does McConnell play? McConnell has even said this before of, I'm probably best suited in a bench role where I can come off in kind of spurts, and you almost think you got to throw that out the window if you need him for more extended minutes. How does that affect it all? So, really it's a conversation we haven't had for 2 months, John, about a significant Pacer player being injured, and this is the most significant Pacer player in the most significant game of the season.
So Kevin Bowen, the morning show, by the way, the conversation both he and James had with Rick Carlisle, podcast at 1075thefan.com. You can go check that out as well. Game 6 coming up tomorrow night. We'll get you there for 5 hours of coverage beginning at 3 from the District Tap. So I will start right here. Another one of my concerns will be, and I know we're going to have criticisms and disappointment initially if things don't go right, but to me, this has been a fantastic season. It has been as enjoyable of a season that I've ever been a part of, the most enjoyable team that I've ever talked about around here. But I do not want to see a bunch of Oklahoma City fans infiltrate the field house tomorrow night like I kind of expect to see, given maybe a little bit of the attitude about some Pacer fans giving up on this right now. And I don't want to see definitely OKC celebrate any title in a place that should be reserved for the Pacers to only be able to do that. So those are my concerns as we roll into tomorrow night's Game 6.
Yeah, I've kind of said, just like make them earn it, and obviously they would earn it. You know what I'm saying, but just kind of one more moment for a building that has delivered so many moments this season. When you think about Game 6 of the Knicks series, you think about the 81-point, first half against Cleveland. You think about both of the huge comebacks against the Bucks. With Ty having the 4-point play and then the layup on Giannis, and even regular season wise, I think there was some of that as well. As you certainly played a ton better after January 1, but the sour taste of Game 4. I just think unless you win a series, you don't eliminate that. But, can you provide, certainly a different mood for your fan base? And I think it'll be a weird atmosphere. I would like to think it'll be like Game 3 and 4, but, also got to live in reality a little bit. And, like you said, there probably will be some more Oklahoma City fans in the building. If you look at the secondary ticket market, it is very reasonable compared to what Game 3 and 4 look like if you just literally want to get in the building. And then just, how does the fan base react? I mean, I think if you're going to the game, there is a no, let's rally around it. Anything can happen in Game 7. But, if it starts to slip away, does, each shot that try to trim into that lead, does it, meet kind of the same magnitude as what the other games, really throughout this playoff run has kind of met in that building. So very curious to see it. And, again, I think, trying to make Oklahoma City earn it with a Game 7 when who the hell knows what could or will happen, that's priority number one.
It's Kevin Bowen with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Major step-ups all the way around, certainly. When you double back to game number 6, I think the most disappointing aspect for me, there are a lot of things you can point to as that, but the 22 turnovers, and Kev, this team in the half court, and I know that you give all the credit to OKC and their defense, and that's great. I'm fine with it. But so much of that was just lousy passing and lack of execution. I mean, in the half court, the Pacers so often were an absolute disaster. And I think it had more as well to do with the lack of execution from a team that has been better and should be better than it even was at times to the team we're giving all that defensive credit to in OKC. It was just kind of an oddballish way to try to handle things all the way around. I mean, individually and collectively, the passing was just atrocious the other night.
Yeah, they couldn't dribble in the first quarter, especially, and it almost seemed like Oklahoma City was, whatever. They had a watermelon and the Pacers had a greased watermelon. It was just two totally different situations. And honestly, I think a lot of it, John, just comes down to how big of a challenge they are defensively. I just think that naturally creates a panic, even when you're not in a panic situation, even when Lou Dort isn't up in your grill or Jalen Williams is up in your grill or whoever else. I just think there's a level of uncomfortability that they create as soon as you walk out on the floor with them. And that's probably the same way how teams feel collegiately playing like Houston, for example. That's why I thought Braden Smith's effort in that 216 game was so extraordinary because, that's typically how teams react to the Houstons and the OKCs of the world is they just crumble and they're uncomfortable and they have careless turnovers on top of real turnovers because they're in such a nervous state of panic, and they aren't sure or confident in, what they're doing, frankly, in the half court. And you've seen it, from game 1 all the way to game 5. It's not like you've eased into it. It's not like you've, settled down. I guess the second half of game 1, you felt like you were in a much better rhythm. But, throughout this series, their turnover numbers, even at home, on the road, they've been really, really bad. But even at home, they've been higher than normal. So, it goes without saying, how big of a, focus that continues to be in this series. And I think what's disappointing, too, it's, that's arguably the Pacers' best strength, is they don't turn it over, their elite level of passing, their willingness to pass. And that has been met by, obviously, OKC's strength. And there's no question through 5 games which strength has played out more. And, for the most part, the Pacers live with 2 point guards on the floor. If you look at them from a rotational standpoint, Halliburton, Nembhard, and McConnell, they are out on the floor together, I would say, for upwards of, 35, 40 minutes throughout a game. It's not like you just have, like the Knicks, for example, they really just have Brunson as that primary ball handler with the starters, and all parties are involved with these turnovers too. Halliburton being definitely on that list, and obviously he is so exceptional usually in that area.
Yeah, and it was brutal. Andrew Nembhard mine was blown. There was nothing firing on its cylinders in that game, especially late. He was all over the place, Kev.
Well, I thought he had the play that iced it. You cut it to 2. You give up a couple offensive rebounds. They hit a 3, and then, this goes back to probably what you're alluding to, just a careless turnover. Literally just throws it in the backcourt. And, think about Nembhard. When we think of him, we think of unflappable, and, he always plays with such swagger and confidence, even if he's not maybe the most outwardly emotional player. And yet, he's had a bunch of them. And they're all forms of it. It's inbounding the ball. It's just strictly passing it. It's dribbling and getting ripped from you. So, it is easy. If you're going to summarize why the Pacers are down 3-2, why the Pacers could lose this series in 6, it boils down to that. And OKC is absolutely dominated from that aspect of the game, and that's 2 strengths going against each other.
Kev, in closing here, I said this earlier. I know everybody felt, oh, my goodness, the WNBA and the officiating, and it's awful, and you got to get a hold of this, and you got to do that, and this is terrible. I found myself I was digging the back and forth, and the Sophie Cunningham, standing up for the teammate and the hard foul. It brought me back to the 1980s NBA. I can't lie. I liked it. I did.
Yeah, I think the edginess, honestly, is probably healthy, because I think you have critics of whatever, the WNBA, or maybe just women's sports in general, where people say, well, whatever, it's not, that's not real sports, that, blah, blah, blah. And I think when you actually have moments like that of, again, major edginess, however you want to describe it, a scuffle, fight, then you do have probably some of the old get off my lawn people that are like, oh, yeah, that's what I like. That's Lambeer. That's the bad boy Pistons from it. So I don't mind it. I probably thought Mabry should have been tossed early. I saw it was just upgraded to a flagrant 2. So again, if it was just upgraded, clearly that was a missed call, and maybe that could have settled some of it down. But yeah, I'm all for a little chippiness, edginess. As long as it doesn't take over the game, which last night you really had it in the first. You had it in the first, and then you had it at the end there where, honestly, Sophie Cunningham looked like, a Colts linebacker trying to fill a hole.
It was awesome. I just became a huge fan because of that. That was great. So you rarely see that, especially going back to the 80s. Hey, I may have missed this morning, and I want to remind everybody, Rick Carlisle with you and James this morning on the Fan Morning Show, Pacers head coach. Did you ask him at all, or was it probably too far down the road to ask again about the officiating and comments on Scott Foster? Did you guys stay away from that?
Yeah, we did not ask.
I understand why.
No.
I get it.
Yeah. With Rick and some of the news cycles in general, it's just like, okay, how far back do you go? And today, for example, we had him on 8 days after. Usually he's 2 days with us, so nothing on that front. I don't think he'll ask about it again. I haven't seen the officials for tomorrow night.
The only thing I thought of was after he got that tee, about it being motivational. Maybe you could brought it up, and with him, it kind of seems like, at least that's what I gathered from listening to your conversations. It seems like if he really wants to talk about something, he doesn't need too much of a lead comment from you to do. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you kind of twist anything into finding a reason to go down that path, if that makes sense to you, Kev.
Correct. Yes, he's one of the more unique interview subjects,
Yes.
I think,
Right.
out there, in that he will certainly share what he wants to share, and you can pick and you can prod, and sometimes he will maybe crack a little, but pretty rarely. I honestly thought the Halliburton stuff, he gave me more than I was expecting.
Sure.
At the start there, and really didn't differ from him talking to the media 4 hours later. So, yes, appreciate Rick for his time, but no, we did not go Scott Foster.
I understand why. That made perfectly good sense. And by the way, you can catch that interview with he and James on the podcast at 1075thefan.com. That's Kevin Bowen early today joining us on this show. We'll see. I'm assuming if you want to stop by tomorrow before you go to the game, we can get you good and hammered before you go. Hopefully you don't need to be good and hammered before you go, but I can set the pace for you.
You said District Tap, right?
District Tap is exactly what I said.
Yeah, I actually might try to squeeze that in on the walk over there, so I'll keep you posted.
Hey, here's what we'll do. We'll bong a couple beers together.
Well, maybe we can bong a couple beers and we can share some stories about maybe what you were hitting there in the opening segment.
Oh man. Oh yeah. See, it was unaware to me. I was on my way in. No, I was completely unaware. I had no. And I go, what the hell?
There's a little more
what are you
smoke to
dorks?
that.
What are you dorks dragging me into this for? I don't want to be a part of this. So,
I'm just glad you didn't drag me into it.
Oh, brother, I appreciate you.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
It's Kevin Bowen, the morning show. He and James Boyd. Jeff Rickard's been out ill the past 2 days. And Mark Dykton, a part of that 7 until 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday, right here on The Fan. Quick break. We'll come back. Denari, top of the hour. Eddie Gill, still to come. Do not go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So Jeremy Bullard sent me this. Is this true from the Clark report? Dorkery's teaching me about something called agri. I don't even know what the hell that stuff is. Is this legitimate? I guess I got to check up on everything. Is this legitimate? Is this a legitimate report? This Clark report thing here. I'm going to blame you, Bullard, if it's not. Sophie Cunningham jerseys have completely sold out following last night's altercation. Is this true, James? You better call down to the gift shop and find out. Guess it would be more than the gift shop. So every single jersey? Nah, I didn't mind it. Every single number 8 jersey. Oh, yeah, no more number 8s? Oh, that is according to the Clark report. Matt writes this. What can Pacer players do to free themselves on the offensive end when it looks like OKC players are allowed to inhibit their movements? Yeah, I sit here and wonder myself. The easiest thing to say is be stronger with the basketball. And while it's the easiest thing to say, I think it's the only thing to say. Because, Matt, I think the only other thing that you would be asking for with what you're saying here is for the officials to call it tighter on them. And clearly, the reason why they were so good and the reason why they do this at the highest level is because that is playing within their rules. So the only thing you can do, to me, if you're the Pacers, is be stronger with the basketball or be quicker in decision-making with the basketball. Know that you can't handle this team on the dribble like you do others because they're going to be coming for you. Simply put, but I think accurately stated. Quick break, we'll come back. You got something for me, James?
Just looking on fanatics.com, it looks like that's correct. I can't find a single Sophie Cunningham jersey available.
Bullard! Solid news. Thank you, brother. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Denari, Eddie Gill, I don't want you guys to go anywhere. Seinfeld tickets, I believe we have some inclement weather here on the inbound, too. You guys will have to keep me updated because I'm in a shoebox right here, and I'm lucky I have headphones, to be honest with you. I have no idea what's going on outside. So you are the eyes and the ears of this weather institution. 4 o'clock hour coming up next. Stay right there.
Any questions?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Let me give a quick shout out here really quick. Let's say that more times quick than I should. This according to Hoops Hype. The Hawks have officially made 2 additions to their front office. According to the Hawks press release, former Pelicans general manager Bryson Graham has been hired as a senior vice president of basketball operations, while one of our good friends, one of the greatest dudes of all time around here. And what sport did he play at Cathedral? Wasn't lacrosse. Rugby. I think he was a rugby player, wasn't he? Which is odd because he doesn't look like a rugby player. He looks like he would be doing this job or maybe doing your taxes. The man with 2 brains, also known as Peter Dinwiddie. Former Pacers and 76ers executive. I bet he's glad he's the hell out of there. Woo! Philly. Hey, I'm going to go to Philly for this gig. And they're going to hire 19 other guys on top of me. Thanks a lot. Pete Dinwiddie, the senior vice president of strategy and analytics. That's perfect for Pete Dinwiddie right there. There's nothing more analytical. He's running numbers through his head right now like Galifianakis. That's awesome. We got to get Pete Dinwiddie on. I'm going to text Pete Dinwiddie right now. I know somebody else would be happy about that on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. If there's anybody as happy as me for whatever takes place for one Pete Dinwiddie, would be our friend Chris Denari of Pacers TV on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. The man with 2 brains is moving to Atlanta.
Yeah, good dude. Really good guy, Peter Dinwiddie.
Love
him.
Like
you said, was in Philadelphia the last few years, went there and
got
thought
screwed.
he'd be in one role. Yeah, thought he'd be in one role, and then they brought in Morey. And so, but yeah, happy for Peter that he goes to Atlanta, and they've got great ownership there and sort of a brand new front office. And so it'll be interesting to see.
Love the man with 2 brains. Hey, by the way, too, apparently, according to Jeremiah Wheatley, we do have some jacket-off weather coming up. I can tell our TV 6 Storm team, and I think team, they could say Storm guy because I think Todd Clawson's the only guy that works there, right? So Todd Clawson is without a suit coat. So it is right now, Chris, jacket-off weather. On the
so that means I need to go outside here after this interview and pull my umbrellas down.
Yeah, those things they'll get tackled. Like get jacket off weather going on. According to Jupiter rover operator, and I see this radar. We've got a line of storms coming in right now. Of course, we can't see. You've been in the studio before. There are no windows here. We got the short straw in this building into the shoebox. Only place is worse is the bathroom when you flush the toilet and it sounds like Doc Severinsen playing his trumpet.
Oh, boy.
I know. They want $35 million for this building, too. Yeah. I got news for them. You better stop that trumpet playing every time the toilets flush around here. You're not going to get that price. What do you think about Halliburton? And I know that we're still a ways away. He's going to go through absolutely everything in preparation. Any expectation whatsoever, or still like most of us and kind of wondering about it?
Yeah, you just wonder, but I know they will exhaust every resource. I mean, think back to Aaron Nesmith earlier in the playoffs. I mean, I'm sure somebody was with him 24/7, doing whatever he can. And Tyrese wants to play, and but you also don't want him to be compromised. I mean, calf injury, can lead to other things, but he's a competitor. I know he wants to play, feels like they're on the brink of something. You win tomorrow night, who knows what happens in Game 7, even at Oklahoma City. That's what you're trying to get to. So I'm sure he'll be very busy with all of the things that he's going through tonight, tomorrow. It's an 8:30 tip, so a little bit later, and we'll just have to wait and see what his status is. I think, Rick Carlisle said it best. He's a game-time decision.
Yeah, I point this out, and I think this kind of gets a bit forgotten with the level of disappointment after Game 5, and certainly the massive disappointment of the fourth quarter in Game 4 last Friday night, is really the pillars in which this Pacer team in the postseason, that's when everybody recognized, or started to recognize them at least. ESPN recognized them last week, but that's when everybody started to recognize them, was their resiliency. And that aspect of what they have done this postseason is not lost on me as they enter that must-win situation, Game 6, Chris, tomorrow night.
Well, you saw what the resiliency was in Game 5. I mean, you had a lot of guys not playing very well. Tyrese was compromised. You're down, 17 or 18 points. And in a hostile building, you get it all the way down to 2. Now, you weren't able to finish. Oklahoma City went on that run. But I just think I don't know what's going to happen. I'm still hopeful that there is destiny waiting this team. But again, what they have accomplished has been remarkable. I mean, nobody would have thought that this was possible when they were 10-15 back on December the 13th. But this team has found ways to win. You're right; they've been resilient all year. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 24 hours, let alone the next 72. And I'm very hopeful that there's a Game 7 and still a chance to win an NBA title. But this has been a fantastic season that can even be better with a couple of more wins. And, you know, it's interesting. We have to exist because of fans. Fans are the lifeblood of an organization. And I get it when people are disappointed with what happened in the fourth quarter of Game 4 and a tough one in Game 5. But some of the things you read, you just sort of shake your head.
You've been looking at my X handle, then, haven't you? You've seen everybody's response to me.
I said, are they watching the same thing that I'm watching? Have they watched this team all year? That's what I take away, John. And again, they will be disappointed if they don't get this job done. But I still feel like they can do it. I mean, you've got a home game tomorrow. I think the crowd will be something that we haven't seen before. It's the final home game of the year and a chance to go to a Game 7. And we know that those are two words that are some of the most important in sports, Game 7, and there is a possibility that can happen.
It's Chris Denari, who's the voice of the Pacers TV. He's kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I did want to give a weather update. This line of storms coming in from the west right now is all-encompassing here in central Indiana. Danville is in the path beginning at 4:11. This is why I want to ask you this. So at 4:25, which is for the better part, 17, 18 minutes away right now, Chris, 4:25, this storm will hit Speedway, Zionsville, and also Lake Lemon, which is down north of Bloomington, Brown County, I believe, Brown County, Monroe County line. So Let's bet here. Where do you think this storm hits first? Speedway, Zionsville, or Lake Lemon at 4:25? What do you got? Speedway, Zionsville, or Lake Lemon? What's your call?
Oh, is it if it goes to Lake Lemon though? Isn't it moving a little bit south?
Well, I think that shows you exactly how long of a line of storms this might be by that. So
wow, yeah,
4:25. I'm going to go with Speedway.
Speedway?
Yeah, because I think it's a little bit further west into the south of Zionsville. So I'm going to say Speedway first before Zionsville and Lake Lemon at 4:25.
Now, I have not pulled up that radar, but is it encompassing Crawfordsville? Because Crawfordsville, when I was there 40 years ago at Wabash College, and it is like a magnet for storms, right? Everything that crosses the Illinois border somehow finds its way to Crawfordsville and then decides from Crawfordsville which way it's going to go. Is it going to go north? Is it going to go south? Is it going to go east? I'm sure Crawfordsville is right in the teeth of it right now.
Well, and a lot of people in Montgomery County rejoice because some folks in Montgomery County just got a legitimate shower. So it happened about 8 minutes ago. So it's already rolled through Crawfordsville, showered, and ready to go on with your Wednesday, evidently. Hopefully, seriously, though, these are some heavy storms. And I think we'll I don't know, Chris. I want to remind everybody of this because we may break away with updates, and I can't tell. I can't hear it. I think sometimes it pulls us away with these updates, so I want to make sure everybody understands if all of a sudden we go away, Chris and I, with this conversation, there's a good reason for it because we want to make sure everybody remains updated and safe about these storms on the inbound. So just a reminder of everybody out there. Again, I won't hear it, and we'll act like we're just continuing to talk, but it certainly may occur here in the next 15, 20, 30 or so minutes. Chris Denari's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What do you do? Somebody asked me a little bit earlier. What do you do with a defense that comes at you that physically speaking, as OKC does, and gets away with a lot, but also produces a lot? We saw turning them over 22 times, the points off of turnovers, something that the Pacers just simply put could not deal with in game number 5. I simplified it more, I think, Chris, than anything else. I said the only thing I believe you can do is just be stronger with the basketball. I don't know what else you can do besides just that very simple sounding thing.
Yeah, I agree with that because here's the dilemma. You know, you can dribble too much and you cannot dribble enough, because I think there have been times where the Pacers uncharacteristically have picked up their dribble too far out, and it creates some double team situations and just opportunities for Oklahoma City to swarm the ball. But yet Indiana, when it's dribbled too much, we saw Pascal Siakam early at 6 turnovers trying to get to the basket. Those quick hands got in there and, you know, reached in and popped the ball away. So it's just got to be a situation where you feel fluid offensively. There's movement. You can create opportunities to get away from your defender. But it's a hard challenge. This is the best defensive team in the NBA. They've proven it. They've been much better at Oklahoma City than they have been at Indiana. And, you know, you look at those turnovers, John, in Game 5. I mean, Indiana outshot them from the field, maybe not from three-point range, but the rebounds were fairly even. The free throws were pretty even, but it was the turnovers, 20-plus with 32 points. That's just too easy. So you've just got to find a way to, you know, better make them work on the defensive end. And then on the offensive end, when Oklahoma City has the ball, I said this, John, I don't know about you, but as I watch Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and now Jalen Williams, again, they have a long way to go, but I hearken back to the days of the Bulls. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander reminds me, again, I'm not going to put him in his category, of Michael Jordan, just simply from the standpoint that Michael Jordan did not rely on a three-point shot. He was a terrific mid-range shooter. He could get to the basket. That's what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does. And now you have Jalen Williams, who's like a young Scottie Pippen. So they have two players that I think are at the very top of their game. They're very young, and they are very, very tough to deal with.
Yeah, they are. And that's maybe what it comes down to. But, man, I am very interested to see. This is just another layer in response that we have grown accustomed to seeing the Pacers provide here. And, you know, of what has been still, to this point, a legendary season in Pacers lore. I mean, this, to me, could be another layer, considering the circumstances and considering how this team goes in it, with certainly their best player being a relative unknown for game number 6.
Yeah, and I would say that I looked through the first 5 games, and there have been bits and pieces where I think the Pacers have played well. They probably played their best overall game in Game 3, except for Game 4, except for the final 4 minutes. But if you look across the board, you just don't feel like Indiana's played all that well. And it's interesting, John, because when I did the interview with Jake Query yesterday, you know, he and I are both talking, and it sort of feels after you lose 2 straight that you're down 3-0. You're 3-2.
Yeah.
You only need to win 2. Now, 2 wins is still tough to get, but the way the last 2 games played out, it almost felt like you had not won a game in this series, and the Pacers have won 2. So I still think there's a game out there for them to play their best. I think it would start tomorrow night to even the series at 3-3, and then it's a winner-take-all on Sunday in OKC.
Yeah, it's Chris Denari. He's the voice of the Pacers TV. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So weird, right? 22 turnovers, and then obviously you I guess you were reading my X handle after the game, because it was always very interesting, without a doubt. But, you know, everybody goes, well, rebound this and rebound that, but they were +4 on the glass in that game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that didn't have any bearing. It was clearly about the turnovers. And certainly when those turnovers mattered, to me, even beyond that, you had the shot-making ability from bench guys that were in terms of Wiggins, wasn't Caruso as we have seen it so often in this series, but Wiggins and Wallace provided 7 threes made that is just tough for this Pacer team to ever overcome, especially if you're giving up 40 and 31 respectively to Williams and SGA.
Yeah, I think Hasten Wallace, I saw his numbers in the previous 4 games. He was 0 for 10 from three-point range. He had not made a three-point shot, though in the regular season he was a good three-point shooter for Oklahoma City. And you're right. It's one of those games where you felt like the stat sheet lied after the game. When I saw that Oklahoma City only shot 42% from the field, I thought it seemed like every time they needed a big shot, they made it, and they did. So I think those are some of the things that Indiana can take away that for a number of possessions in that game, I thought they did a pretty good job. But when you give up 40 and 31 and then have 2 bench players hit important threes, then that's a tough way to go.
Yeah, that's the way you look. It's funny. I would give them even more of a chance with 2 guys going for 40 and 31. But it was the points off the bench for those 2, but more so than anything else, it was the 7 threes. And you can look at the timing of the 7 threes. And that, to me, is because they all came along at a time when things started to go well. It seemed like it would stem a tide every single time those guys would knock down a 3, either doing that or was extending a deeper hole for the Pacers.
Yeah, no question. And then you go to the part of the game when the Pacers make that rally. T.J. McConnell helped them keep close, and he had to go to the bench. And in that early fourth quarter, the Pacers cut it to 2, and immediately they get a 3 from Jalen Williams and then a turnover, and it went from 2 to 7 in the snap of a finger. And you just never felt like the Pacers could regain any positive momentum off that. So, so many times we watch these games, we know they're 48 minutes, but there are critical stretches, and it doesn't even have to be at the end of the game, John. I thought really in Game 4, even though it was a fourth quarter that the Pacers were outscored 31-17 and went 5 of 18 from the field, I thought they lost the game at the end of the third quarter because I thought when they had a 10-point lead, it should have been 12 or 14. It was only 7 at the end of 3, and then Oklahoma City scored the first couple of baskets, and instead of being a 10-point game, all of a sudden it's a 2-point game. So you can look at certain instances within a game and really point your finger and go, that's where we need to do a better job of taking care of business.
So Chris Denari, he is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. All right. Game 6. Hey, you going to stop by the way, on your way tomorrow? I think that's a hell of a plan.
Yeah, we'll try. I will try to do that. Terry Denari will be in the building.
No way. That's outstanding.
Yeah, she will be in the building. She was there with me for Game 6 of the Knicks series, so she was definitely very lucky in bringing the team luck. I will be sitting in my seats. I have not sat in my seats in either of the first 2 finals games. I had sons using those tickets, but I'll be sitting with my wife tomorrow night, so I'm sure we'll be there early enough that we can come over and spend some time with you.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to introduce the awesomeness to a 5-hour show with Michelob Ultra in mind right there.
That's right. The rhyming one will be with me, Terry Denari. Yes,
that's awesome. What a great name that is.
It is. I mean, we've been high school sweethearts. We've been together. In fact, when we were in Crawfordsville, when I was a student at Wabash, I don't think anybody knew her maiden name at all. They just called her Terry Denari. So she's been Terry Denari for a long time.
I've had kind of a complex about you over the years. I'm very jealous because you look the same over decades as you have 30 years ago, which I think is an incredible quality. And I may have found somebody last night that has even more of that particular genetic quality going on than you do, and that's Rick Springfield.
Oh, wow.
75 years of age. My man looked like he was 30. And people say, well, he's got all this money. I mean, I don't know how much money he has, but holy crap, 75 years old? I was so impressed. He became my hero last night.
And he looked just like he did when he was on TV all those, 40 years ago?
He looks better, I think. I think they would say he he looks better than he did. Incredible. All that at 75. See, that's
wow.
People like somebody was getting on me the other night because everybody was getting on me the other night. And somebody's getting on me the other night and called me Grams and 55. And you can't guard this and you can't play against my 12-year-old or whatever. But it's not even so much about that. It's about being able to do that. I want to sustain. I want to continue to go. I never want to quit. And I hope at 75 I can be anywhere in that general vicinity, much like I've hoped in the past I can look like you, obviously, forever. Because you're never changed, brother. You never change.
Got a few more gray hairs, but good genes. So hopefully that stays with me. I just want to give you an update at 4:20 as you were talking to me.
4:20. Hold on a second. Chris Denari with an official 4:20 update. This is a big damn deal right here. Go.
I was getting an emergency alert through my phone and my watch that says the National Weather Service severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this area. I live in Carmel until 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
So there's your weather update from Chris Denari.
Yeah, in the last 8 minutes, destructive thunderstorm warning included Paragon, Martinsville, Gosport, Ellettsville. That's according to Sean Ash of Channel 13 WTHR. And we'll continue to follow this. We may get an update across the hall because these storms apparently are not good whatsoever. Hey, Chris, I appreciate you more than you know. Stop by with the awesome Terry Denari tomorrow, okay?
We will do that. And, hey, everybody be safe. We've had some ugly weather this spring, so make sure everybody's safe today.
No doubt about that. Chris Denari on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Thank you, Chris.
All right, thanks, John.
All right. Hey, is Herrick coming over here now?
Not right now. He's taking care of stuff over on
Well,
WIBC.
the hell with that.
But he did.
That's why Hammer and Nigel's over there. They take care of that stuff.
I have gotten word from Todd, though, that he might try and work his way over here once he's gotten stuff taken care of.
Well, again, I'm assuming we're going on and off with this right now. Somebody tell me via at JMV 1070 on X. I think we're probably being cut out, and this is all a good thing, is to make sure you maintain awareness, knowledge, and safety weather-wise. But we will occasionally get cut out because of all these warnings. And the latest is a severe thunderstorm warning here locally. We'll try to, as best we can, keep you updated on that and then some. Eddie Gill's going to join us coming up in just a bit. And a lot of me and a lot of Ewan, including our Hoosier Lottery trivia question of the day coming up, and Jerry Seinfeld tickets also on the way. Do not go anywhere. The stream, the app, HD Radio, the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Me and his money. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, a tornado warning in effect. Hendricks, Marion, and Boone counties. This according to the National Weather Service. A tornado warning. That's what I've seen here most recently for those three counties. You may be hearing this, and I can't. For Hendricks, Marion, and Boone counties, and it is in effect until 4:51. So you've got the better part of 20 minutes with a tornado warning. And, obviously, if you're to the east, to the northeast, to the southeast, whatever, of those three counties, when you start thinking about Madison and Hancock, yeah, be aware. Shelby County further to the south, be aware. We'll try to keep you updated as best as possible. Hamilton County, I'm assuming, at some point may get some sort of warning. But as of right now, according to the National Weather Service, it is Hendricks, Marion, and Boone that is under a tornado warning. We will keep you updated with any of this breaking news. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, fantastic listen. Pacers Radio Network on this show all the time. He's with the fam last time with us here for the old Pacer, although that didn't go very well for the Pacer pregame in the fourth quarter, but it was a hell of a fun time last week, and we'll see if he can do it again tomorrow at the District Tap. Former NBA guard Eddie Gill joins us. So did we have a good time before game number 4 at Pivot?
Yeah, that was pretty good. You had a nice turnout there as well, so it looked like you had a nice live viewing there, and yeah, I mean, and the weather was nice that day, unlike it is right now.
Yeah, I think we just had power blank right here. That's unusual. So that's very unusual here in this. Of course, somebody could have just flushed the toilet down the hall. Maybe that's the reason. But no, seriously, we ran, and I feel this may be my crowning achievement in the 25 years I've done this job, Eddie, is we ran Pivot out of Michelob Ultra. They had no more Michelob Ultra.
How's that possible?
Can you believe that?
Well, I guess there's one way it's possible. You guys are putting them away. So,
putting them away. Alas, it did not end well later on in the evening, especially with that fourth quarter. Now the Pacers, after Game 5, Eddie, find themselves down 3-2 in the best of 7 and a must-win coming up tomorrow night. Give us, as being a former NBA player, and we're not even going to get into the availability, will he play, of Halliburton just yet, but where does this team start to try to find any consistency in footing against this OKC team in a desperate time of need for them tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, I think that team in the Thunder, their superpower is essentially how hard they compete on every single action within any given play during the course of any given game, and they just outwork teams. And what we've seen the Pacers do prior to this series is wear teams down with their pace, with their physical play, and that's where Oklahoma City thrives. So you have to continue to try to match that. I mean, defensively, they are just an absolute bear. It seems like, and Mark made the comment at one point on air, it seems like it's 7 or 8 guys out there on the floor guarding the Pacers when you think about them being up against the clock each and every possession. So I think, to sum it up, they have to be able to match that competitive spirit and be a little bit more strategic from an offensive standpoint. And the biggest thing is trying to slow down Jalen Williams and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah. So do you think that they make it closer and more interesting down this? Well, obviously, without the egregious level of turnovers would be one thing. But Williams goes for 40, and SGA goes for 31. All right. But I thought surrendering the 7 threes off the bench to Wiggins and Wallace, and I would even factor in that banked-in 3 by Dort. I thought that those were major moments because it seemed like when Wiggins and Wallace knocked him down, it was either an extension of what was already getting out of control for OKC, or it was kind of dashing a get back into the game pacer type of effort. It seemed like these threes were incredibly timely for them off the bench.
Yeah, we did, and that's what we saw again. I believe it was game 2 with Wiggins and Caruso who got loose from the three-point line, and then now this time it was Wiggins and Wallace who got loose in this game in game 5. So I think it's really stems on what Jalen Williams and SGA, the kind of attention they command. But the problem is it's when they command the attention. They get multiple bodies thrown at them essentially when it's too late, right? So they're either all the way at the rim, on the rim, and they're in the danger zone, I like to call it, in terms of where they can really do a lot of damage. And then at that point, you got guys like Wiggins and Wallace. These are routine three-point shots, and pros are going to make open shots. And again, that's what you saw in Game 5.
So Eddie Gill joins us, Pacers Radio, coming at you tomorrow night prior to and then during, of course, game number 6. And by the way, too, tornado sirens have been going off here downtown. I can't hear them in studio, but I've been told that. I know they're also going off on the south side. And again, that tornado warning remains in effect. I haven't seen anything else other than Boone, Marion, and Hendricks counties. We will keep you updated. And remember that we will have cut-ins from John Herrick from 93 WIBC that Eddie and I will not hear in our ears that will just happen. So be prepared for that. And all we're trying to do is make sure everybody maintains a level of awareness and safety weather-wise, because these storms appear to be incredibly nasty. Eddie Gill's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So your thoughts on Halliburton, if he can go, but just where do you think there may be a line drawn in his level of effectiveness, considering the opponent and how good they are in Oklahoma City?
Well, if it's a health concern, then that's just something that the medical staff, coaching staff, they will all make. Once they decide he's available and healthy and ready to go, then we're not talking about health anymore for me. And from a player's perspective, that's just the way we approach it. If we're in the game, you go get it done. And from an opponent standpoint, as the Thunder are looking at it, they probably could care less whether he's hurt, injured, 10% or 100%. They don't care what that number is. They're going to go after him, and that's just what it is. So I think if they decide to say he's available, then we don't talk about what's going on with his leg anymore. That's not a topic, right? If they say he's not available, then clearly it is a real issue, and then you move forward with Andrew Nembhard and TJ coming off the bench, and you go just similar to what you did in Boston last year.
So yeah, if he doesn't go, you think it's going to be Shepherd into the starting lineup?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, there's, obviously, Walker's not available, so that's not something that you had. But Shepherd is the guy you potentially look at and keep TJ in that second unit and let him do his thing there.
He's Eddie Gill, the former NBA guard, Pacers Radio Network. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Andrew Nembhard's issue, how much of it was to do with just Andrew Nembhard? How much of it had to do with the amount of pressure that was coming his angle and the responsibility too? And by now he knows, and he obviously embraces it, but things clearly went haywire for him in Game 5.
Yeah, there's no question, especially in that second half, had some rough turnovers there that really ignited that Thunder offense and them being able to assert their dominance again in that fourth quarter. I think a lot of it has to do in even Halliburton. He turned the ball over more than he has throughout the entire season against his team here in the finals. So I certainly give a lot of credit to their defense and what they do. But having said that, some of the turnovers are unforced. But, I think some of the unforced ones have to do with the pressure that they apply, because sometimes you're anticipating the pressure, or because you've been hounded so much, next thing you know, you turn over a careless one. So I think it does go back to what they do defensively. But at the same time, you got to be able to try to resist some of those unforced ones, stay disciplined, and attack pressure with pressure, and really play with a level of confidence to detract and really supersede what they do from an aggression standpoint.
Hey, Eddie, sometimes this has been an issue. There's no doubt about it. And I'm kind of curious your thoughts on how it went down in game number 5. So obviously the board work, they were +4. They were the Pacers being +4, and that's not normalcy for them on the glass. The other aspect was dealing with Holmgren and Hartenstein, because so much had been made in this series about going back to the bigs, and OKC went back to the bigs lineup, but they didn't really provide very much. And I guess my question in this, was that a product of what the Pacers were doing better, or more of a product with the dominance that we saw with SGA and Jalen Williams in that game?
Yeah, I think a lot of things, most of it is centered around dominance between SGA and Jalen Williams. I mean, they are just an absolute handful. If they're not getting to the rim and scoring, SGA has one of the best mid-range games in all of basketball right now, with Neesmith and Nembhard draped all over him. He's shooting these shots with great smoothness, and it seems like very effortless. Now, having said that, when that happens and when those extra bodies get thrown at them, and then now you do have a problem with Hartenstein and Holmgren in terms of their rebounding. But the Pacers seem to have done a solid job with that for the most part, or they've been able to go and get extra opportunities themselves. It's just a matter of trying to convert those also.
It's Eddie Gill with us. A couple of final thoughts. If you want to stop by tomorrow, we'd love to have you, by the way, once again at the District Tap if you have time. I understand if you don't have time, but I did want, just in case we don't see you tomorrow, your thoughts on your expectations, because we have come to know and really embrace this team as being in the postseason the most resilient of anybody across the board. Let's start right there. Is that your highest level of expectation tomorrow night, regardless of the circumstances, that resiliency that has become so familiar for Pacer fans?
Yeah, it's got to be there. It's got to be a heightened sense of urgency, clearly. Win or pack it up type of game, clearly. And it's got to be from the start. And that's just the physical play. And that's not necessarily shot making, although I think if they play with great urgency, the shot making will come. But you can't rely on shot making to get you to the finish line. It's got to be a competitive nature that they bring to the game, a competitive disposition. I think in the last couple games, the Thunder have definitely been the more aggressive team. If you look at the last essentially 5 quarters that the two teams have played, the Thunder have been the dominant one from a physical standpoint, and that's led to a great result for them. I think the Pacers have got to either match or exceed the physical game in order to have a chance to win, and that's what I anticipate from them. Also anticipate a rowdy crowd there at Gabriel Fieldhouse.
Yeah. I just hope it's not a lot of OKC fans that infiltrate tomorrow, too. And I sure as hell don't want to see any damn celebrating going on that's not the Pacers celebration on that court either. So, a couple of things. If you got time, love to see you tomorrow, man, if you want to slide by District Tap.
Yeah, I'll try to get by there.
You got it, buddy. Thank you, Eddie.
Okay, we appreciate it.
It's Eddie Gill on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. John Herrick, the news director of 93 WIBC, is in studio with a weather update. We know that the tornado sirens are going on here downtown a little bit earlier. Tornado warnings, I know of 3 counties, including Marion, Hendricks, and Boone. Where do we stand right now as far as the weather that not only has been on the inbound, but also through some of the area to this point, John?
Yeah, to this point, JMV.
Hit that mic over there, John. Do we hit it?
There we go.
Yeah,
got it now?
go, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically what happened is northern Indiana first started getting hit pretty hard around 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're talking areas like up near South Bend and Tipton, Lafayette, Delphi, Kokomo, areas like that. But now central and southern Indiana is really seeing a lot of storm activity, as you mentioned, along with that Marion County line you were talking about. Right now, Zionsville, Brownsburg getting hit pretty hard. Avon and Plainfield is where the storms are really getting strong, and they're moving. It's all looking like it's heading right toward Beech Grove, Homecroft, Indianapolis, Rocky Ripple, and Speedway right now, starting to see some rain come over. So luckily the tornado warning is supposed to expire here right now.
Right.
But there's still some storms moving through, and keep in mind that a tornado watch was issued earlier in the day, and that is in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. So it looks like we may not be done with this yet.
So you think it's just kind of the first part of what could be on the inbound later on this evening, too.
Don't know if it's the first part, but this is definitely another wave of it, and it looks like this could continue on until at least 8 o'clock tonight. Also, heads up for our folks down in Bloomington and Ellettsville. I know we have a big IU base that listens here on the Fan, and if you're in areas like Ellettsville, Bloomington, or Clear Creek, or anywhere around there, you are experiencing a lot of heavy storms right now.
We have a report of 70-mile-an-hour winds at Indianapolis International this afternoon, too. Any reports of damage you guys have into the news center over there?
Haven't seen anything yet. I mean, we've just gotten a couple calls about traffic and, traffic lights being out at certain intersections. Power outages are really starting to mount. So if you're an AES Indiana customer or a Duke Energy customer, you'll want to report the outage to them or check in with them to let them know that what's going on so they can get out to you pretty quickly. But, yeah, thousands of power outages starting to be reported there.
Hey, I did want to ask you, and I'm not making light of anything in closing here, but I have a lot of friends in Greene County, and many of them need a good shower. Is anybody getting a shower down in GC right now?
Definitely.
Okay, cool.
Because that was the first thing that popped up, JMV. That was one of the first counties.
Was it really?
Yeah, that came out and got hit with.
Okay, well, it needs a hell of a shower. Yeah, that's good.
It was.
Especially over in the western portion of it. You get across the river, and it needs a big shower over there.
Right. That was one of the first counties that got a severe thunderstorm warning in the 3 o'clock hour.
All right. Well, keep us updated. 93 WIBC
Correct.
on Hammer and Nigel over there. They're going to have the updates as well, and I think we will be cutting in and out of your stuff right here, too.
Yes, no problem. I can come on over, no problem.
All right. John, thank you very much. John Herrick, the news director, 93 WIBC. And again, we felt compelled to give you the latest in the weather situation that is going on right now throughout the area. We'll keep you updated the best we can, and we will also keep you entertained with sports conversation coming up on the other side. Don't go anywhere. I've got time for you, 239-1070, and your weather reports if you want to do that as well, because you're just as good as anybody else doing the weather right now, because you, my friends, are live, local, and late breaking. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Ready? Go! David Letterman!
Hi, David. I'm Grandpa.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Obviously, the weather situation is the major story right now. We're trying to keep you updated as best as possible. News director John Herrick, 93 WIBC in studio a little bit earlier. You'll probably hear his voice as these storms continue to head eastward. Shams with breaking news here in the last 2 minutes. NBA-wise, the Buss family entering an agreement to sell majority ownership of the Lakers to Mark Walter, the CEO and chairman of diversified holding company TWG Global. And that's according to Shams on ESPN. Jeannie Buss will continue to serve in her role as governor after the sale. But a sale in majority ownership for the Lakers, according to ESPN right there. JMV, did you see this? Stephen A. Smith isn't convinced OKC will close out in game number 6. Well, you can't be convinced because the Pacers have gotten it done when they've needed to get it done. I think it was Halliburton that made the point of, this is kind of poetic given the circumstances here. This is what we have done. This has been their fabric of this postseason. And I would suggest what you have seen them do in the clutch that would seem outrageous and so far against the odds to take place, I would suggest they've made that rather common. So why wouldn't you think that? Why would you write them off? That's why I've been so surprised why so many of you, especially those that are flexing on social media to themselves in the mirror, and probably a little self-gratifying going on too as you're sending something out. So you're flexing, sending something out, and, the ultra-tough folks out there are kind of bailing on this group right now. That made me wonder. I don't think this team, even with the disappointment in Game 4 in the fourth quarter or the disappointment after Game number 5, I don't think they've given you enough reason to bail, have they? You that light anyway? Have they given you that much reason? I'm not here to be their cheerleader. I'm just saying I know what I've witnessed so far, and in these particular moments, we have seen them step up. Now, granted, you're right if we're saying it's a different opponent, tougher opponent, different set of circumstances. Yep. But this is, I think, the biggest reason why you've thoroughly enjoyed what this team has done, given situations like this and coming through. Yet another challenge, the biggest to date. Coming up tomorrow night, Game 6 District Tap, 3 until 8. Cannot wait to see you down there. We're going to have a ton of guests, and you, Michelob Ultra, brings us to you. Some weather updates coming up as well. I would say this, the late, great Michael Conrad on Hill Street Blues always said, let's be careful out there. That's my advice. Just be careful out there. Don't be cruising through at 50 miles an hour, water and puddles and flooding. You always hear that. And then you always end up seeing somebody floating down the block in their car because they tried to do it. Just don't do it. Be safe out there. I want to see you sometime. We got to hang sometime, like tomorrow. Weather updates and more coming up. 5 o'clock hour at 239-1070. Seinfeld tickets to give away. Who's your lottery trivia question to ask? Do not go anywhere, but jump on board. Also, our weather watchers out there. If you guys want to dive in on that, live, local, and late breaking style, you can. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
XFL, yes it is. 2, do I or do I not currently have a pulse? Yes, I do. Let's play football.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, who wants to go see Seinfeld? That's Jerry Seinfeld, everybody. Yeah. I had to say that. November 22nd, Mural Old National Center. Number 9 at 239-1070. You can go see Seinfeld on me because we're friends, we're tight, we're close, we're buddies, we're pals, we're amigos. Me and you. 239-1070. Number 9. Jerry Seinfeld tickets will go with you. All right. I also have a 5 o'clock hour. I think we're absolutely stark naked right here. So just me and you rest of the way. Some me and Ewan as we get through the weather situations. And again, you will occasionally hear a cut in with John Herrick of 93 WIBC. Make sure that you maintain weather aware out there as well. Just know that to be true. The Hoosier Lottery and I want to add more play to your day. Got ourselves a little trivia question coming up a little bit later on. You're going to ask me exactly what I'm thinking about, asking you trivia-wise. I don't know if I have it just yet. Hoosier Lottery Champions of Play, $50 scratch-off gift pack up for grabs. Must be 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. We do that with our friends from the Hoosier Lottery coming up later on this hour, so sit tight for that. I also want to give you a chance. I'm going to get James a little bit later on to get you signed up for that PXG driver, golf driver, courtesy of my friends at Pennzoil, that I did a thing with about a month ago. Both Pennzoil and PXG have got a driver back there. It's a club head innovation, and I know this to be true. Some of you in your golf game, you need a little bit of innovation in your club head. Actually, I'll be blunt. We all need, fellas, some innovation in our club head. I'm going to give you a chance to win that. We'll get you signed up to win that. We'll draw for it coming up at the end of the week right here. Yeah, a lot of people are sending me pictures of what's going on weather-wise right now, too. Yeah, it looks like the east side's going through it right now. Yeah, but I don't understand that boulder right there. What? Weirdo. 239-1070. I owe some calls. James, give me Tom here on line 1. I want to start. Tom, hello. How are you, sir? Tom, are you there? I don't hear Tom. That may be because I think James is getting somebody on the line. Can we not have two people on at once here? I don't hear. Tom, are you there? There you go.
Yes, sir.
James is doing James is doing 15 things at once right there.
Oh, I totally get it. That's my life, you know.
You got it, brother. What do you got, Tom?
Yeah. Well, I gotta ask you something. First off, shout out to Chris Denari, a fellow Wabash man.
Yes,
brother. Did Chris ever tell you he is a national champion in basketball?
I knew that. Yeah, Pete Metzelaars was his teammate.
1982.
True that.
1982, Division III. Yeah,
I am aware of that informational nugget, especially with the former tight end of the Buffalo Bills.
Pete Metzelaars. That's right. Yep. But what's really cool is if you ever go on YouTube and you watch the old 1982 national championship game against it was at Potsdam State, Division III, right? Yep.
Yeah.
That team looks a lot like the Pacers of this year. They're just, cohesive, and they're on the same page, and they just, and they play for each other. And, I think if they just stick to that and nothing else, nothing on earth, not the Thunder of Oklahoma City can bring down this team. And of course, they don't know that they're dealing with an Iowa State cyclone in Halliburton. So, thunder is only a byproduct of a cyclone, as we all know. But anyways.
Yeah, what's funny about all this is I'm not trying to cheerlead for them. I want what's best for everybody that's listening out there that's a Pacer fan. But what I do maintain is I don't think that they've still given you enough reason not to entertain the fact that they can't get something done, because so often we have seen the reason why they get it done is because they play together against a lot of circumstances that are stacked against them. And this is yet another one. I mean, this is what Halliburton had said about this kind of being poetic, the situation that they're in, given all these situations they've had to wiggle out of and then win a game in a variety of situations in the postseason. I mean, it's just another layer, I think, to how special this year has been, or at least that's how they could translate it if they were able to push this to a decisive Game 7 on Sunday.
Absolutely. I mean, stick with that. And I mean, nothing can bring them down. Nothing can bring them down. They just got to remember who they are.
Well, and take care of the ball. Don't turn it over 22 times. Get yourself a little execution program going on, and maybe a little resistance. Hopefully a little bit more with Jalen Williams, and maybe some for the first time with Gilgeous-Alexander. That's necessary as well. Tom, anything else?
Oh, hey, go Pacers, and I appreciate you having me on. God bless, brother.
Tom, thank you very much for the call. It is a gold out tomorrow night. Game 6. The Yes Sirs making its triumphant return. A gold out tomorrow night. Yeah, we're going to be there beginning at 3 in the afternoon, 3 until 8, coming up tomorrow at the District Tap downtown with Michelob Ultra. Great time last time out, and I don't see a reason why this is not going to be equally as awesome coming up as well. All right, 239-1070. Mike is out in New Pal who joins us now. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Hey, John. How are you tonight?
Mike, it is great to hear from you. How's Donna?
Oh, she's awesome. She's awesome, getting better every day. Hey, I've seen 2 out of my 3 bucket list items accomplished. I saw the Colts win the Super Bowl. I saw my Cubs. I know you love the Reds, but anyway, I saw my Cubs.
I do.
16.
Yeah.
Win it. I'm pulling for this. We need to be all out, put on the throttle, no matter what happens. We need to have it happen. And by the way, it's dropped 20 degrees in the last 15 minutes out here in New Pal.
Has it really?
Hey, is your mom okay down in GC?
Well, she hadn't called. You remember the last time she called in a storm, and she left me a message while I'm on the air, Mike, and she said, yeah, this is your mom. Yeah, I'm down here. We got wind of 80 miles an hour, tornado warnings, and, don't worry about me. I'm just surrounded by a bunch of glass.
Wow. Okay. Well,
okay.
I know. You need to get mom into a basement or something.
I'm surrounded by a bunch of glass, is what she said. Seriously, that's what she said. I'm surrounded by a bunch of glass.
Hey, I'm going to try and make it to District Tap tomorrow.
Awesome.
We'll see what happens if it's a rain out as job site, whatnot. But no, I just want to accommodate you on. You're awesome. We love
Mike,
listening to
thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. You guys are very special to me too.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll see you soon. Get back to the weather forecast and live late breaking and whatnot.
It is, buddy.
Hey, I'm hunkered down in the garage with a cigar right now, and it's like Donna's inside. I said, if I call you, go to the basement and whatnot. But hey, we need to make sure everybody shows up tomorrow night.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you. Thanks, Mike.
See you, buddy.
Yeah, that's my mom left that message when I was on the air. Yeah, don't worry about me. Tornado warnings, 70 mile plus a mile an hour winds, and yeah, I'm just surrounded by a bunch of glass. Don't worry about me. 88-71, the Fever over the Sun last night. That did not, by the way, become the story. The story was the back and forth between the two teams. The technical for Caton Clark, the poking of the eye, the kind of the Three Stooges moment. And I'm not propping this up as, hey, I got to see this. I'm just telling you, I don't mind it as much as everybody else does. If it gets physical, it gets physical. It was not a huge reminder of the 80s and the 90s of the NBA, but I like seeing friction between players. We had gone through such a tremendous stretch, if you can remember, and still do, really. but a tremendous stretch where everybody was everybody's friend, and friend this and friend that, and we knew one another at AAU and we're friends. And I'm not advocating not having friends, but I like to see a little bit of back and forth, a little bit of friction between players out there. I don't mind it, and you got that last night. I understand if you're Stephanie White and you want to get on the officiating because it did escalate. And there are probably other reasons why you got on the officiating, because in the past it probably did escalate and probably whatever. But my favorite, Sophie Cunningham with the hard foul, I thought it was perfect. She got ejected, which is not perfect, but I thought it was perfect. That's what you're supposed to do, to stand up for teammates. Am I missing something about that? Is it not good? Does it take away from the game? I think Caitlin Clark, to me, is strong enough where you don't necessarily have to put her in bubble wrap. I don't think every time she gets touched, everybody needs to lose their mind. I have full confidence that she's going to be okay. Well, when everybody else was saying, you've got to do something about this, this cannot happen, it cannot be allowed to escalate, I was going, hell, that's cool. That's like the 1980s right there. Maybe I'm the only one. Hoosier Lottery. The Hoosier Lottery and me, we want to add more play to your day. We'll do that coming up in just a bit. I'll tell you how, I'll tell you why with a question. Grant's next at 239-1070. Grant, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Grant, I'm great. Go ahead.
Oh, I just kind of wanted to chime in about the what you were talking about with the physicality and
yes.
Basketball.
Right.
And I've noticed this with this final season, and especially this playoff season with the Pacers, how much more physical it is, and how we have not seen that kind of ball play in a long time. I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. I feel like
well, I'll tell you what, let's find out some reasons why behind that here. Grant, why do you like it compared to why don't you? Share that with us.
So, say someone fouls one of your teammates really hard on purpose, and, you get up in their face and start talking, talking about whatever, or getting in their face, or getting a little bit more physical, not necessarily an eye for an eye, but, someone hits you, you're not going to just sit there and get hit again, are you?
No, you're going to get a little payback sometime, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. I don't know. I kind of dig that. I like that. I called it friction, and I'm sure there's a better term that I could use, but I like the friction, and it seems like it always surrounds Caitlin Clark. And some people suggest that maybe she instigates a little bit of that friction. I think a lot of that friction is dictated by how bright her star is, and I do think that there still is a level of jealousy going on. But what I say here, Grant, is I think that she can take on all comers. I think that she can get through this. I don't think you have to put her in bubble wrap necessarily right here, and I love Sophie Cunningham standing up for her. Now, I would get this, Grant, if you were to add to it, if you were to say, all right, what this does, it could end up compromising an important game if you lose a body. If somebody gets ejected like Cunningham did last night for standing up for her teammate at the end, then I understand that aspect of it. But I just think everything else is within the realm of competition, and if you go over that line, if you go overboard, you're going to get dealt with. So I guess I didn't see it as egregiously as everybody else did.
And with Caitlin Clark, she is a master at it. She can go out there, she can play rough, and people don't look at her as a free throw merchant or wrapped up in bubble wrap. She can kind of, hit all spots on the floor and pretty much do whatever she wants, kind of, and, almost get away with it. And yes, her skill and her star status is definitely a target, just like SGA. So, there's a lot of different takes on it, lots of different points of views. Some people could say that, bad officiating causes fights to break out, but I don't think that to be the case.
Yeah, I thought it kind of made a blowout game more entertaining last night.
Oh, yeah.
Some people don't agree with me on that, but I thought I thought that it did. Grant, anything else today?
That should be it. I'm just hoping for a good game tomorrow for the Pacers.
Got to have it. This is a must-win. Finally, we're in a situation to where I can say must-win, and I'm not going to get laughed at. How about that? Thank you, Grant. 3 o'clock tomorrow. We hit the District Tap with Michelob Ultra. You guys going to join us? I think you should. The District Tap off of Georgia and Meridian right there. Just a block from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. You can hit that bad boy up before. I mean, hell, you can go in after. But know this to be true. If this is going to be anything, and I assume it will be, anything like it was at Pivot last week on Friday prior to game number 4, let's all buckle up a little bit. JMV, speaking of the WNBA, have you seen TJ McConnell's sister? Yeah, I have. I don't have a question yet. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't ask me. I thought you were asking me about the Hoosier Lottery question. You want to do Herrick over here again really quick?
I can get him if you want.
Yeah, you go ahead and run and get him. I'll tell you what, let me get this. JJ's in Muncie. I do want to bring JJ on board. Yeah, bring Herrick back over here for some updates weather-wise. JJ's in Muncie at 239-1070 right now. Hello, JJ.
What's up, fella? Daymar.
Indeed.
Hey, real quick, just a couple points. Sophie Cunningham is like, I'm going to put it right here, right now, is like James Johnson. She has become the dog for the WNBA in my books. And I'm pretty sure Caitlin Clark, she can fend for herself because she talks much trash, which is good. It's good for the sport. It's good for the players. It's good for the competitors. So there's no harping on that. As far as the physicality, we need that physicality. And another word for that, we want all the smoke on both sides, baby. Appreciate it, my man.
JJ's in Muncie. John Herrick, news director, 93 WIBC, joins us back in studio. We've got a number of storms, a line of storms. The first, in fact, of what could be some more on the inbound later on tonight. John Herrick with a weather update for us here. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Hello, John.
Hello, JMV. How are you?
Great.
Yeah. The good news is a lot of this stuff is moving out. But I think the big story now is the fact that you've got power outages. About 27,000 AES Indiana customers do not have power right now. One of the latest severe thunderstorm warnings that came in was in Fishers and areas of Hamilton County. But luckily, ever since the tornado warning that happened in Marion County, which ended at 4:45, the storms have dissipated, but you had people stuck in traffic. You had trees down in roads. There were issues up at like 106th Street and US 31 in Carmel where trees were reported down. And so now it's just starting to clean these things up and as people continue to deal with these power outages.
John Herrick, 93 WIBC news director, across the hall in studio with us. I mentioned that you do have a tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock tonight.
Yes, that continues even after all this is done.
All right. So anything else on the radar that's coming in?
The biggest thing that I'm seeing, I think, this was a storm system that moved in from Illinois. There does not appear to be anything else behind this at the moment. But again, Southern Indiana looked like they were going to be fine for most of this. And then we had stuff popping up pretty quickly around 4 o'clock. So just be vigilant and keep an eye on it. But I think things will be easing up as we move towards that 8 o'clock hour.
I've seen video and pictures of some damage here in the area as well. And I'm assuming, no pun intended here, you've got video and pictures flooding in at 93 WIBC.
Yeah, if you want to see those are definitely on our Twitter and Facebook pages as well.
All right. John Herrick is in studio. Keep us updated, my good man.
All right, I sure will. Thank you.
News director, 93 WIBC. It is John Herrick with the latest on the inclement weather that rolled through the area here. For most around here about 30 minutes ago. We will continue to keep you updated. The awesome Wes Reynolds says, do you remember what R. Miller always said? Quote, hate is good. I do remember that. That is awesome. Nick says, why is Sean Ash still wearing his jacket during jacket off weather? That's because jacket off weather does not apply, Nick, in what is a normal newscast broadcast window. If that makes sense. So it's normal you have your jacket on. If it's outside of what is a news program broadcast window, you jack it off. JMV, occasionally you will disappear and they're going to give weather updates. Do you know this? I do not hear that. I know that it takes place. I just don't know when. That's kind of how they do it with the National Weather Service to give updates right there. I just have no idea when, but it's all to make sure you stay informed, weather aware, and certainly safe out there. I'll tell you what, I got to give away that golf driver from PXG in Pennzoil. I want to do that coming up here in just a bit. Get some names for that coming up here before the end of the show.
Let's do it.
Also, too, keep in mind the Hoosier Lottery Champions of Play $50 scratch-off gift pack up for grabs. I've got a trivia question courtesy of the Hoosier Lottery coming up here in a bit. And we'll go with number one with the answer of that question, a question that I am yet to put together. Must be 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. I don't want to call it the question of the day, but logically we did back on Monday a sports-related question. That was about Alex Caruso. But last night we did a music-related question, and that was about John Wade, who was awesome last night at the Fishers Event Center. Let me tell you what. If you've never been to the Fishers Event Center, and I've been there for the Indy Ignite, a couple of pre-games. I've never been there for a concert. It is a spectacular venue. And right around the Fishers Event Center, there is so much to do. I was at some place called Sangrita or Sangrelita, something. Sangrita.
Sangria?
Sangrita. I think it's Grita. Everybody was enjoying some incredible food. Sangrita. Is that what it's called? Sangrita?
Sangrita Grill plus Cantina.
Sangrita Grill plus Cantina last night, everybody. Uh-oh. Here's a weather update from my backyard. According to the National Weather Service, a chair from the backyard got blown and barely missed my car.
Really?
Blake Thomas. That's your weather update from my backyard. A chair from the backyard was blown and barely missed my car. That's what we're dealing with down there on the Johnson-Morgan County line. Flying chairs. Watch out for that. Quick break, we'll come back. Again, our trivia question with the Hoosier Lottery. That could net you a $50 scratch-off gift pack, courtesy of the Hoosier Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Please play responsibly. That coming up as well. And we'll get you signed up for that golf club from PXG in Pennzoil coming up, too. Before the top of the hour, don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Very appropriate right there. Milli Vanilli. Weather coming through the area. Still that tornado watch in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. I want to thank John Herrick, news director, 93 WIBC, for the updates today. Thank you very much. We discussed the fever last night and the situations, the aggression that went on in their win over the Connecticut Sun, and, of course, Tyrese Halliburton with the media earlier today, Rick Carlisle on the morning show. Couple of plans with, very U2-ish right here, from the Joshua Tree, with or without you, plans for Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton saying today that he's going to do everything he can to play. Again, that's my expectation, but we shall see. I brought this up a little bit earlier, too. It's not so much the concern about future injury as it is, all right, if you're not where you need to be, and even at times when we have seen him where he needs to be, that hasn't been, for lack of a better description, where it needs to be. How problematic before you decide that that could become detrimental? So that's my thing right there. I want everything to end up being nice and sweet and perfect, and he's able to play, and you go out there and you do what you do and get a win, and you stretch this to game number 7. But what happens if you go out there and the situation with your calf has you so compromised that you can't do it? And if you think these dudes go at you anyway, can you imagine how Dort and the others are going to handle you if they fully know that you're dragging a leg around a little bit right there? So that, I think, if you play, that to me, the effect or lack thereof that he has on this team. Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton, I like a great deal, and you know it, but as we saw the other night late in the game, I mean, everybody was screaming, and it probably, had it not been for the play of Andrew Nembhard, people would have been screaming even more. Get TJ back in, take Halliburton out. And the other aspect I realize, if you're the Pacers and you're Rick Carlisle, is look what he's done in the moment before. And here's a possibility of yet another moment. Now, it could just be another moment in general to where you can step up big. It doesn't have to be a late gamer. But what I'm saying is the clutch performances we have seen, do you put him in there and hope that he is able to provide you what clearly he was unable to even before that strain in game number 5? So I would ask a lot of those questions before I thought about asking the question, well, what if he gets injured? I mean, honestly, what if anybody gets injured? But you have been around so many of those moments. I understand why you feel the way that you do. I thought Eddie Gill said it right. If he's cleared to play and he plays, conversation done, right? I do agree with that firmly. If doctors clear him to play and he's able to play, and then that conversation goes away and we evaluate exactly what he does on the floor. 239-1070 is that number. Jerome is up next on line number 1. Hello, Jerome. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I hate to say it, man. My concern with Tyrese Halliburton is I don't mind. If you're going to be wounded out there, you can't be scared and wounded. We can't go out there and you look up, we got a 10-point deficit in the first quarter, and we're fighting our way back trying to face elimination, stay off elimination. My concern is with Rick, the only problem I've had with Rick's coaching, and some of this goes back to the days when he was here before with the Artest gang, Rick waits too late to bring people in. TJ brought us back to 2 points, and then you set him. Obi Toppin has outplayed Miles Turner every single game. Miles wants $40 million in the summer or $30 million in the summer. I'm going to be honest. I know you're a Miles Turner fan. If we don't get out this round and we don't win Game 6, you can't give Miles an extension, man.
Why can't you? Why are you crazy? They're going to listen. It doesn't matter. He's going to get an extension, and it doesn't matter whether you agree with it or not, Jerome. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It's etched in stone, man. Etched in stone.
I get it, but he's been here 10 years. We may never get back to a championship round.
He's a part of the team that got here. For God, what? How is that so damn hard to understand?
Okay, well, he got here, but let's do something. Like I said last week.
Wait, they're in Game 6. How the hell hard? They're in Game 6, Jerome.
But he hasn't done anything to help us win.
So he got him there.
No,
he was there with him. It was a part of the team that got there. All right.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me hold. I don't get why you don't understand that. Why do so many people want to change this up when this team gets to the 6th game of the NBA Finals against a predominant favorite in OKC? Jerome, what is so hard to understand about this?
There's nothing. Hey, I'm a Miles Turner fan, but at the end of the day, and we want to win a championship.
All right, I don't want you to be a fan right here. Let's both not be fans for a moment. Logically speaking, what's a better fit? Give me a better fit, Jerome. Give me a better fit. Don't just say, well, we're going to do this with $30 million, blah, 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 blah. Give me a better fit. What fits? What's better? You're going to give me rebounding? They were +4 on the glass and still got beat in Game 5. Jerome? What's better? The problem with Miles hasn't been that. The problem with Miles is he's not hitting the 3 at the level in which he did. That is the problem for Miles and this team. Why do you want to change all this up? You add to what you have. You don't change it. That's asinine.
Okay, but at the end of the day, in order to add to this, you don't want to spend money like in the past. We're going to have to ask, are you going to re-sign Ben? Because at the end of the day, you have a 10-year veteran that helped you get to the finals, but you're 2 games away. If you can't will yourself to get 1 win and get to Game 7, then why are you paying somebody $30 or $40 million just because he got you to the finals? You at this point, you're knocking at the door.
Because he got you to the finals. Because he got you to the. Can I answer that quickly? Because they're in the finals, Jerome. That's where they are, in the finals. This is not the play-in. This is not the play-in. Your logic can be used in the play-in, but not Game 6 of the finals, Jerome. Let's all just be real for a moment. All right? This has been an incredible season no matter what the hell happens tomorrow night.
Well, go ahead and win it. You're good enough to win it.
Okay. But it's been an incredible season anyway. I try to explain this to people, and this is not even a Miles question. This is a question regarding this team. You bring as many back as you can, and then you add to it. This is the simplest thing of all time. This is not calculus. Well, I guess it is to a degree. You got to figure something out mathematically, but my gosh. You look at what they've accomplished. Why? No, it's not about Miles. It's about all these guys. You want what has been the rule as to why this team is here? Cohesion, togetherness, team play. Why would anybody want to jack with it? They're in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, a place they haven't been in 25 years.
And we got this team, as I said before, it may not be the most talented, but we've gotten a lot of good breaks this year. We got some hell of breaks, JMV.
Man, everybody, Jerome, everybody gets breaks to get here, bud. Everybody does. We all did. Hey, Jerome, you got breaks to where you landed. I got breaks where I landed. Everybody gets breaks, man. And you take it. It's how you take advantage of them. And most of the time, when you're good enough, you create those breaks. You create that good fortune. You create that luck. And I think this team has done that.
JMV, we win the game tomorrow night if Miles gets more than 8 rebounds. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't care if he doesn't get a rebound, but if he were to stroke 3 or 4 threes, it is a legitimate threat to make out there again. That's what this team needs. You got to get to $110, man. Get to $110.
All we have to do is win the game and not turn the ball over 19 times. We're good enough to beat them, JMV. There's no doubt in my mind. We can beat them if we won. Don't play scared and don't turn the ball over. All I'm saying is I know Miles is missing the 3, but at 6'11", 250, you're out on the 3-point line shooting faded threes on a guy 6'5". All I'm saying is every now and then, take your ass into the basket. That's all I'm saying.
Jerome, thank you very much. I believe we're going to have to agree to disagree here. Listen, I was right about this last year when I went with the whole run it back thing, and then the Colts crowd heard it and immediately responded like Colts fans would, and because you've seen it not work, but it worked. All I'm advocating would be understanding. I'm not giving them excuses to lose Game 6 or excusing them to lose the finals. What I am telling you, and it's what I'm telling you about Pacers sports and entertainment in this situation now in general, don't jack things up. Don't jack things up. If something's good, write it until it's no longer good. You have Game 6 of the NBA Finals, a position this team has not been in, this organization hasn't been in 25 years. Jerome was probably young enough, he was probably crapping his pants the last time this team was in a Game 6 of the NBA Finals. That's what I was saying the other night, and this doesn't necessarily have to do with even Miles. This is everybody. You want to maintain what we have talked about in terms of the Pacers and OKC. That is a level of cohesion that is necessary, and we see that team orientation. That's the reason why both of these squads are here. They have really good players, and they have a great deal of depth, and they play a style that blanks with everybody. Don't know why anybody would want to compromise that, regardless of what happens coming up tomorrow night or in a potential Game 7. Quick win. I'm going to get out of here. I got to get a trivia question. You got one over there? I'm drawing a blank. I think Jerome just completely foobarred my day right there. My head's all scrambled. I might turn the ball over myself here before the end of this show. Who's your lottery? I got a trivia question for you, and I got stuff for you to win, too. We'll also get you signed up for that PXG driver before the end of the show as well. Hey, I would go ahead and sit tight because this is going to get fun. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Have you ever killed anyone?
Yeah, but they were all bad.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Heritage Park race of the day. Richard Reeves. You know, Richard Reeves came up with the JMV Badassery song. That sounds like Nickelback. Do you have that over there?
I don't have it on me, but I can find it probably.
Yeah. The JMV, Stoking the Flame or the Fire or whatever.
I've heard it, yeah.
Richard Reeves, man. Well done. A cool moment, the winning horse. $9.20, $2 bet, $2 exacta was $26.80, 50-cent trifecta, $36.50. That is your Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. 50 in betting, 50 in dining for the writer, the creator, the producer of the JMV Badassery song, Richard Reeves. Harris Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Standardbred horse racing now through November. It's a great idea to check that out. And we'll do it again tomorrow, live from the District Tap downtown. Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. All right. Got a trivia question for everybody. The Hoosier Lottery Champions of Play. $50 scratch-off gift pack up for grabs right here. You got to be 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. Here is your sports question. I know it's odd. Sports question for me. Don't be so let down. On this day, James, on this day in Dodgers history, going back to 2014, this pitcher tosses a no-hitter in an 8-0 win over the Colorado Rockies. Who is the pitcher? And childhood friend of quarterback Matthew Stafford. First caller's going to get that $50 scratch-off gift pack courtesy of the Hoosier Lottery. Hoosier Lottery Champions of Play. Must be 18 to play. Yeah, we're going to do this all week long, in fact. That should be easy. I didn't say left-handed pitcher, but I could have. If I'd have gone back further, we could have gone with, I don't know if the late Fernando Valenzuela, did he ever have a no-hitter with the Dodgers? I don't think he did he? His no-hitter came with a different team? I thought Fernando's no-hitter came with, was it the Orioles? I won't remember. I thought, big fan of Valenzuela, the late Fernando Valenzuela, but that is not it. Different left-handed pitcher altogether. We'll have James get a win for you. Coming up in just a second. Hey, this reminder, too, by the way, tomorrow the District Tap, we will be downtown beginning at 3 until 8, and there are going to be a bunch of people stopping by. I'll tell you one person I'm going to have on the show, that Evan Sidery is going to stop by because everybody's been giving me hell about having Evan on, so I'm going to for sure have him on tomorrow. Thank you. Everybody's mad at Evan Sidery, which has reinforced me to have Evan Sidery on even more now. Thank you. Actually, I think Eddie Gill is going to stop by. We asked Travis Best on the show on Monday, the former point guard of the Pacers, see if Travis can stop by. And Denari and Terry Denari is going to stop by. That and more tomorrow. Michelob Ultra brings us to you tomorrow. The District Tap, which is going to be an absolutely fantastic time. Jimmy Burkhart says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I agree. Hey, Jimmy, my brother, add to it. Why can't you add to it? I say add. We got a winner? Hoosier Lottery. Somebody's going to win this right now. I mentioned we're doing this all week long with the Hoosier Lottery. The Hoosier Lottery Champions of Play, $50 scratch-off gift pack. Must be 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. The question was, back in 2014, this Dodger left-handed pitcher, he blanked the Rockies 8-0 on his way to a no-hitter. Jim joins us now with the answer. Hello, Jim.
What is up, JMV? It's Jim Dutra. How are you, brother?
Jim, what's happening? Do you have an answer to this question? It is not Jerry Royce, nor is it Fernando Valenzuela, the late Fernando Valenzuela.
No way, not Valenzuela?
It is not.
Yeah, Kershaw, brother.
You got it. Clayton Kershaw, childhood friend of What NFL quarterback?
Oh, wow. Now you're really stretching.
Matthew Stafford. I believe he's from the – aren't they both from the Metroplex, I believe, of Dallas, are they not?
Yeah.
Clayton Kershaw and Matthew
you're
Stafford.
right.
All right. Hey, Jim, stay on hold, man. Thank you for the call. Jim gets the Hoosier Lottery Champions of Play $50 scratch-off gift pack. We'll do that again tomorrow. Clayton Kershaw. 8-zip. I stand corrected. Jim McCann of Southern California shares this information. The late Fernando Valenzuela's no-hitter was with the Dodgers versus the Cardinals. I do love that. For some reason, I thought his no-hitter was not with the Dodgers, but well done. Sarah says, could you do a PSA reminding everyone how to blanking four-way stop when the signals are flashing red? I can. Scott says, Jerome needs to Google 5-out offense, then reevaluate Miles' role. He fits perfectly. Here's another way he fits perfectly. Look at the free agents out there. Also, I love the fact that I can't wait to see Isaiah Jackson back off the bench again. But anyway, that's for coming up either after Thursday or coming up after Sunday, right? That's a conversation we will have. And I'll probably have to fight with everybody out there again at some point, which I am up for. I'm up for the fight. James, great job out of you. Eddie Gill, who's going to join us tomorrow. Chris Denari, who's going to join us tomorrow. Kevin Bowen, who's going to join us tomorrow. Man, all three on the show today will flash back tomorrow. The District Tap, get you set. 5-hour show. Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Michelob Ultra will bring us to you. And I've got a PXG driver, courtesy of Pennzoil PXG. 3 callers at 239-1070 will get you signed up for the drawing for that driver on Friday. 239-1070. 3 callers now.